3 qualities that you have to ask yourself about when you make a good photograph. So I refer to it as the 3-legged stool. If all 3 legs are the same size and they're all equally sturdy, it stays up fine. If one of them's weak, it leans a little one side and you can slide right off. If one of them's not there, it just falls right over. And you have to have all of these 3 things. So when you're evaluating your photograph, you look for them. Number 1, you need an interesting subject. That goes without saying. If your subject is dull, your photograph is dull.
That's right.
That's all there is to it. So you have to have an interesting subject. Now, I'm going to elaborate on that, but I start with subject because, in my experience, subject is where people start to make a photograph. People say, "Isn't this a great photograph?" And they show you a picture, and I don't know what level you guys are at, but the more advanced you get, the more you get this. I'm sure Mike's seen it plenty. Somebody will hand you a photograph and say, "Isn't this a great photograph?" And it is a great subject in a bad photograph. Or let's not say bad, let's say uninteresting photograph. And the person who's looking at the photograph, who's very proud of it, is proud of the fact that they've captured a good-looking subject. Be that a cute child, a great sunset, a tree they particularly like. And to them, they look at that subject and they put themselves back in that scene. And they say, "This is a great photograph because I have the emotional attachment to it." Now, that's not wrong, because you need that in a photograph. You need that great subject, but it's one of the 3 legs. And then the other thing that you could that's a part that I consider as a photographer, a part of the subject, is how you present that subject in terms of things like camera angle and lens choice. It's funny because lens choice, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but you can take the exact same sunset photograph. It's the same subject, but how am I going to consider that subject? Am I going to go with the detail right smack in the center that I'm seeing right at the edge of the sun with a very long lens that's going to make the sun look big and bring it in close and compress all the details going to it? Or am I going to get a wide landscape that presents the environment and shows me the sun? Same thing can be said for a person. How I choose to use my photographic tools does affect the subject. So it's all part of the subject. The other thing, and this is really important to me as a guy, one of the things I do is I shoot a lot of weddings. And the difference between a great wedding photograph and an okay wedding photograph, not a bad one, just a good one and a great one, is sometimes the difference of 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's 1 second. It's a look that is captured too soon, not waiting long enough for it to finish itself off, and then turning away before you see what's there. And so one of those questions, and that's a subject issue. The issue is, it's a good subject. You've made the right choices on how to photograph this subject, but have you done it and photography is about time. It's why we have shutter speeds. Have you done it at the right second, the right microsecond? Is it too soon? Is it too late? Did you not wait long enough? Did you miss it? I hope there'll be a few people who do submit things other than landscapes, and there'll be people involved. And that timing, the question is, was this subject ready? Is a great question to ask yourself when you're talking about pictures of people. Of course, you could say the exact same thing about a flower, too. You get there a day too early or a day too late, and has it passed that peak that makes it interesting? And I bring that up because one of my favorite images that I've ever made of a flower was one where I got there too late, and it was past that perfect stage. But I was about to walk away, and I thought, I'm going to get down on my belly, and I'm going to really look at this guy. And there was a bug eating the back of it. And it's the action of that bug later that made the photograph. So that I did have the right subject, I was there at the wrong time for what I intended, but by looking at the subject, I was able to say, maybe there's a different photograph of this subject that I didn't expect. So the question is your photograph ready for the subject? And that's something really important.